Okay, so we had a slight interruption there, but we're back. I think we were talking about keeping it on the counter. The trick with that is that it grows really fast. If it's on the counter, it's going to grow fast, so you got to use it pretty much every day. Okay. In a preparedness survival type situation, you probably will be baking bread every day, so that's not a problem. But in our current situation, the way we live now, keep it in the fridge. That just makes it so that you don't have to feed it every day. You can feed it every, like I said, 2, 3, maybe even 4 if you're really pushing it, days. But anyways, so let's see, I think that's all I'm going to say about that, yeah. So feeding it. So we're going to feed it right now. This one is definitely ready to be fed. And usually the liquid, you saw it on the bottom, usually it comes up to the top. And you'll want to pour that off. Just pour it into the sink off the top. But mine, for some reason, this time went to the bottom. And so I'm actually going to kind of scoop my yeast over a little bit, and I'm going to take it to the sink. And I'm going to pour that liquid out. Use my spoon to help me keep the yeast from all falling out. But try to pour that liquid off if you can. If you can't, it's not going to hurt you. So don't worry about it. It's not a stressful thing here. But pour it off if you can. Now, I chose to use this jar because this is real life with yeast. There's going to be yeast stuff around the edges. It looks gross. I am totally with you on that. It looks gross, but it won't hurt you. It will not hurt you. And you can, if you're really picky about that kind of stuff, you can use a new jar every time you feed it. That's your choice. I'm too lazy for that, so since I know it doesn't hurt me, I'm not going to worry about it. But if I wanted to switch it over to a new jar, which I will go ahead and do just so you can see that, it's really simple. Just go like this. There she goes. Okay. Flop, so made a mess anyways. But that was really fun, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. All right, so anyway, so you can put it into a nice, clean, beautiful jar if you want. That's totally fine. The other thing you want to do is drain off the top. Sometimes if it's looking a little off color, I will scrape the top off. This one did not, so I didn't worry about it. But if it does look a little off color, you can scrape off, just like spoon off the top and throw that in the trash or down the sink. I just throw it in the trash. And also, if you don't want to have to feed it a ton, like maybe you didn't get to use it as fast as you were planning on using it, but it needs to be fed, you need to give yourself permission to waste a little bit. I know that's hard for some of us, but if you're not going to use it and you're like, oh, I didn't use it, I'm just going to leave it in the fridge, just waste some. Just take off like a cup of it or whatever. So I've got 2 cups in here. You always want to have about a cup in the bottom. You always want to have about a cup. Nice thing about using mason jars is they have measurements, so you can know what's in there. Anyways, if I was not going to use this, I would take half of it, throw it in the trash, leave my cup, and then feed it my water, which is 1 cup of water. If you're doing a cup of, there's a cup in here, just think it's equal parts. So if there's a cup of yeast starter in here, I'm going to use a cup of water and a little over a cup of flour. I know it's equal parts, but it's better to have a thicker yeast than a thinner one. It just does better that way. So I actually do a cup of water, and then I do about a cup and a half almost of my wheat. And so you can do that. Now I have 2 cups in here. I'm going to be baking soon, so I don't want to waste any of it. I'm not going to take half of that off. I'm actually going to feed it as a 2-cup feed. So I'm going to take my water. I'm going to go ahead and just dump that in. So that's 2 cups of water. And then I'm going to take my my wheat flour that I've ground up and just dump it in. If you make a mess, it's okay. You'll wipe it up later. You can do this over the sink. That's usually what I do, is over the sink, so that I don't have as much of a mess to clean up. It's easy to just rinse it off. I'm not super good at measuring exact. I don't really care about exact. I care about what it looks like when I'm done. So that's about what we needed. Come bring it in so you can see. So I put my water and I put my flour in. Come like over aerial view. There you go. I mix that up. Okay. Hope you can see that. I'm mixing it up. It's kind of gooey. It's going to get hard to stir. That's a good thing. You don't want it to be super easy or it's too liquidy. At first it'll be easy because you're just mixing in that water. But once you start mixing it into the stuff on the bottom, it should get a little more challenging for you. Just think of it as a killer workout for your little arms, for your arm muscles that you don't use very often. So anyways, you just kind of mix that up. See how I'm mixing that up? And I want it to almost, but not quite, be like a bread type dough texture. It's almost a mix between a pancake, not pancake, no, yeah, not a runny pancake though, pancake and bread. I'll show you when it's done, you can see. So I'm mixing it up real good. If it's too runny, if it seems too runny, add a little more flour. If it's way too stiff, add a little more water, that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect either. So this is about perfect actually. So I'm just gonna finish mixing it in. That's really, you wanna mix it really good, get some air in there. It's good for the air to be in there, it helps it grow better. And you wanna make sure you get that bottom really mixed into the top. And that's kind of how I do it. So here's a view. This is it. And you can kind of see, I'll pull it out, see how that is? So it's not bread dough, but it's not as loose or soft as like a pancake batter either. It's kind of an in-between. And that's it. That's really it. You just feed it. Scoop that off. And then you take your cheesecloth, put it over the top again, and stick your lid on. And then throw it in your fridge. Or you leave it on your counter. That's fine either way. If you're going to use it fast, leave it on your counter. If not, throw it in your fridge. And that's how you feed the yeast.